Hello. What's going
Wow.
on, everybody? Welcome to Coffee and Comics Live. I, of course, am Bueller, but I'm not alone. I got my good friend Bob here with me. Bob, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm here with you on a Monday night, reminiscing about comics and coffee, and it's great to be here, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good, but you know what? We always start off the same way. We always start off with the coffee that we're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bob, what are you drinking tonight?
So tonight I got a Stumptown Stubby. They're little stubby bottles that Stumptown puts out of cold brew. I got some
Mm-hmm.
sugar-free vanilla sweetener in it, and of course I got to represent. I got my coffee and comics cup, and
Oh, nice. Those are limited because that store is no longer alive anymore, so you can't even get
wow.
those anymore. So very cool.
All I know is the coffee is fine, buddy. It tastes really good.
It
How about
does look
you? What are
good.
you drinking?
I have actually I got it right here. I got the of course I got to represent Comics on Coffee, the Batman blend. This is my favorite one, the dark roast. So I got that right here, and of course I got the Comics and Coffee mug right
Nice.
there. So old school.
Mm.
It's good stuff. I can't complain one bit. Don't forget to go to Comics on Coffee, enter the code Bueller, save 15%. And that's right, folks. You are going to get all the plugs that we used to do. Because that's how the bills get paid around this thing.
That's
We
right.
got our two plugs, so get used to it. But you know what? This is Coffee and Comics Live. This is a kind of a light version of what me and Bob used to do for many years together. We're just going to have a fun, but so you're going to see some things that are very similar to what we did before. And so let me go ahead and do a quick comics and coffee rundown for you guys, so I can tell you guys what to expect. We're going to bring back some old favorites like First Five. Then we're going to have Random Thoughts. And Random Thoughts was actually at the last part of the coffee episodes. We're going to switch it up a little bit and do some random thoughts. We're going to get caught up with Bob and see what's going on. We actually do have a topic tonight. Our topic is going to be talking about the Marvel price point that they came out with the $3.99 and the price of books. We've hit on that in the past, and I think you guys are going to enjoy the conversation. We also have the world famous Was It Good segment, where me and Bob like to ask each other, hey, was it good? And of course, Bob says, oh, it was great. And I say, oh, it was great. And sometimes we go, oh, man, that sucked. But you know what? We never know. We'll find out later. And the Was It Good segment, it's a little bit more broader. It's actually going to cover some comic books and some video games and some movie, TV stuff. So it's a little bit more broader than it was before. We will also have our final five. This is where we show our five comics. Like I said, we have the first five. We'll do that, and it's the one that Robbie rips off and does on his show. But he got permission, so he's allowed to do it. And then we'll have an open Q&A at the end. We'll just kind of reminisce and go from there. But that is a rundown of what we got going on. But let's go ahead and say hello to some of the people in the chat, because people have been wanting this show for quite a while to come back. And this is a different version of it, but you know what? The two gentlemen that made it possible are here. So let's say hello to people in the chat. We got Kenneth. Hello, how are you? The Comic Bookworm. Hello. TMX. Hello. Two Gun. What's up? John, the big guy, is there. Sleepy Reader, a special guest appearances on the coffee show a couple times. That was awesome. Let's see. Scott Vaughn, I was just on his channel. Michael, hello. Bruce, what's going on? Brian, let's see. John Stout, Johnny Boys Comics, what's going on? Marcel, hello. Charles, hello. David Posner, we read a lot of comments from David Posner, if you remember correctly. Yep. Brandon Allard, hello. Comicverse, hello. Derek Magnus also had a lot of comments from him. Planet Arizona Comics, I'm in Arizona right now. And Bruce, hello. James, hello. And Nova69, another person we read a lot of comments from. Yeah. Jackknife, what's going on? And we'll just scroll to the bottom here, because this list will go on for quite a while. We got Hack in here as well. Thunder God, hello. And DJ Lynx is in the house. Tony is in the house. Everyone's representing, showing up tonight. Thank you guys so much. Logan Lumpkin, our shirt designer. Very cool to have him in here also. But here we go. Let's go ahead and get things started with our first five, just like we did before. Let me bring up even the banner I made for it. It's pretty flimsy in comparison to what we had before. But you know what, Bob, start us out. Let's see your first 5, buddy.
Sure thing. I haven't been getting too many new books lately, but I still have a pull list at the local LCS. And so here are just some of the
I'm sorry,
newer
Bob.
books.
What LCS is that?
We don't talk about that. Anyway.
That's some bullshit right there, buddy.
So the first one I got is Hades, number 5. I'm digging these Disney villain books by Dynamite. Pretty cool. I got Gunslinger Spawn, number 28. I get that every month. Another one, because of Sleepy Reader, I got into, and I absolutely love it, is Yosagi Yojimbo.
Nice.
I never miss an issue of that now. And then a couple of, I got the Disney covers. I got homage to X-Men number 1, which is really cool. And then, of course, I had to show off my boy Daredevil. And that's from the latest run, cover by JR. I had to represent, buddy.
Yeah, and we'll get to this a little bit later when we kind of get reminiscent, but we got a kind of a cool Daredevil story this year from last year's Washington State SummerCon. And we'll get to that in a little bit when we get caught up with Bob. But let me do my first 5. You ready?
Yeah.
So I got very limited comics where I'm at here, obviously, because it's just got a little storage thing under the bus. But we're going to start off with Boof. We got good old Boof, number 3. So Boof is making an appearance, but it's actually really cool artwork. And I got a few issues of Boof, and very cool. Moving on, I got Dead Detective number 1, the variant cover from Black Box Comics. There you go, not bad at all. I have Gargoyles number 1, another variant cover. This is the cover I like, so I picked it up when it came out. This series has been pretty popular. They actually have the Dark Ages one as well. The next one I have, and I'm throwing some love to a local comic book shop there in Portland, the good one there, not the shitty one that Bob referred to. This is Thanks from Another World, Angel, the Aftermath exclusive, Tifa exclusive. They sell comics there, Bob, just in case you were wondering.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. And they give you a discount. And we have Vinyl number 5. I just thought that cover was pretty cool. And I wanted to show that off right there. Vinyl number 5. This came out about a couple years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. But cool series and not bad at all. But that is our first 5 where we show some books. And that was brought to you by, who did our first 5?
Was that Black Box Comics?
No, they were Topic.
Oh, okay.
First, the final 5 is brought to you by Bird City Comics. Go to birdcitycomics.com, enter the code Bueller. You save 10%.
Rusty.
It's been a while. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. And right now, like I said, we're doing random thoughts, and the random thoughts are brought to you by our Patreons and just the viewers of the channel and the viewers of the Coffee and Comic Show. And this is the real reason why we're here. I travel all over the place. I get asked all the time, hey, when are you guys going to do another Coffee and Comic Show? Or how's Bob doing? And that is like the most question I get asked quite a bit. And I recently was in Orlando at MegaCon, and I was asked that question a handful of times, over and over. Somebody actually asked me during a panel, if the Coffee and Comic Show was coming back. And you know what? I wanted to bring Bob on here, and Bob and I can kind of reminisce with you guys, you people watching, the people that made this possible, the show very popular, the award-winning show. The Coffee and the Comic Show was the best show to date of any comic book show there's ever been. And I don't care if somebody disagrees with me, they're wrong. I have an award to prove it. So there can only be one, right? So we got that one. So that's what it was. But Bob, let me start off with first things first, buddy. How are you? How are things? What has Bullseye Bob been up to over the past year?
So one of the main reasons that I haven't been around is because I was going through a number of health issues, and that really knocked me down. And I got issues with my back. That's one piece. And then I've got another issue with some things going on internally. And it really fatigued me a lot. And it knocked me down. So I had to take some time off to focus on my health. And then in the midst of all that, we had a bunch of different family dynamics that changed. And one of the things that, because of my health, I had to step back from doing my secondary job, which is pastoring, and at the local church. And so that was very hard to let go of that. And then trying to hold down a full-time job while I was going through these health issues. And then about 6-7 months ago, a couple of different things happened in our family that we have family members that just really needed help really bad. And so my wife and I started to do some things for, especially for my kids. And then we had Tina's brother's grandkids, a bunch of them, from his first daughter. They were homeless. And so we took over duties of making sure that, because there were 4 kids, we had to make sure that they got to school, they had a place to sleep every night, and we were taking care of them while the parents were trying to find a place to live. And so there's just a bunch of stuff going on at once. And I just really, had to take a step back from doing anything YouTube.
Yeah.
And but I'm still around. I still haven't in my heart of hearts let go of the community. I still check in every once in a while. And, I will be back. It's just a matter of time. I really want to get back to, letting you guys know my thoughts on the stuff that I'm reading and that I'm watching. I don't know if I'll ever be a Wednesday warrior again, but it's something that I definitely at some point would like to come back and just have fun putting out content and being a part of the community, which I love so much,
Yeah. Well, let me kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because I want people to know this and kind of history, and everything that Bob just said just kind of shows you what kind of guy he is. He's a very kind-hearted man. And when I got the opportunity to meet Bob in person, that's one of the first things that struck me right away, is how kind he was. And he's the type of guy that this is the type of people I want to be associated with. Mm-hmm. That being said, that's what leads us to where we came up with a decision to make a video called Coffee and Comments. Now, I had done this video before for about 53 episodes. Okay. Totally different video. And than it was when I was doing it before for the 53 episodes. Some glimpses of what it turned into. But then one wonderful day, some guy, because I always got these guys in Oregon reaching out to me. It's kind of weird, but I just kind of. But he's like, hey, I live close to you, and I want to go to that coffee shop. You want to meet there? And we did. So me and Bob met. And Bob, feel free to jump in and disagree with anything I say here. But Bob was starstruck right away.
Starstruck.
I looked at him and I was like, I go, Mr. Bob, I go, it's okay, buddy. I go, just relax. I'm just a regular guy. I put my shoes on one at a time. And he's like, are you sure? Can I help you with that? I go, no, dude, that's not the type of date this is and stuff. So what happened was me and Bob sat down and we talked for a few hours and we became really close friends right away. Yeah. It was instant. There was an instant bond right away. And I felt it. I know that Bob felt it. But putting aside the starstruckness and the little lovesick boy that he kind of had going on towards me and stuff, it was a real friendship. Would you agree, Bob? I'm pretty right on base on this, right?
Yeah. Well, to me, when I first met you, you were wearing flip flops and a house sweater, and I was just like, "This is my dude, man." No, I mean, I had started tuning into YouTube channels, and yours was one of them. And then when I noticed Mocha Express, I was like, "That sounds like the coffee shop just up the street." So that's when I reached out to you. And I think the hallmark of that first meeting that was so great was I only had about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And, in our first meeting. And I mean, I didn't want it to end. I could have sat there talking to you for hours. And of course we did multiple times, and it's always been the same. I love hanging out with my friend, but we instantly hit it off. I mean, comic books is one of those things that we can always talk about, but I mean, it went beyond that, and I've always appreciated your friendship. But you're right, we hit it right off.
Yeah. The weirdest thing about that day was he actually had a picture of me in his wallet. And I was like, what the hell was, I don't know where he got it. He said I made it.
Up in the
But you
back,
know what?
baby.
Yeah, I was okay with it. I was gonna move forward with it because I felt a connection with this gentleman and stuff like that. So as time went on, I said, "Hey Bob, would you like to come on the channel and stuff like that?" And so I think we did like a little video together and stuff. And then I said to Bob, I said, I have an idea about a show that I want to do, kind of like a fly on the wall. We're sitting around about comics. And we kind of discussed it a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of already doing something similar with the Coffee and Comic Show. What if we just switch it up a little bit and go this direction? And so Bob came on board, and Bullseye Bob was on the show. And it was episode 53 when Bob made his first appearance. And he was nervous to all hell. I mean, were you not?
I was. I wasn't used to, to speaking on camera, and I think I'd only made like 1 or 2 videos of my own, and so yeah, I was, I didn't even know how to act at that point. So yeah, I was kind of freaked out.
Yeah, and you remember what I used to tell you? Because you used to say a lot.
Yep.
And I remember I used to put the thing underneath the camera that says "Don't say."
Don't say. And I said it 500 times anyway.
Yeah. So it was a learning curve, at the very beginning and stuff. And also I was like, Bob, we need something. You need something that stands out. And when I say that, I was like, okay, Bueller wears the vest, so they know people for me wearing the vest and stuff like that. I go, Bob, you need something. So Bob came up with a hat, a Bullseye Bob hat that he wore. It was what are those hats called?
A Scully.
A Scully hat, yes. So he had the hat on. That was kind of his thing. So we each kind of had a look to each other that kind of stood out and people recognized us. So that was really important to do. And then we kind of got rolling and we started doing it weekly. At first, you were just a guest a couple times. I was like, hey, if you want to do this weekly, let's do it. And Bob, to my surprise, he's like, yeah, this is great. Let's roll the ball. Let's get going. Because it was a commitment and stuff, to do the show. Because when we started episode 53, okay, the first show was 23 minutes long.
Are you serious?
Yes, it was 23 minutes long.
we had shows going like an hour and a half, 2 hours in the end.
Yes, we had shows that went an hour and a half to 2 hours pre-recorded and uploaded to YouTube with missing at least an hour of the show that we shot. We never even got published.
There's a lot that ended up on the cutting room floor.
That's right. Well, a lot of our show started off at 23 minutes and evolved, and let's just say about an hour and a half a show. Okay. Yeah. And from that point, things started rolling. Sponsors came on board. People started watching the show. Comics on Coffee, Black Box Comics, Bird City Comics, Comic Pro Line, Max Pro Supplies. Just a bunch of people started reaching out and wanting to be a part of the show because it was a very Whatnot was afterwards. But it was a very popular show. People really enjoyed it, and we hit topic after topic, and we regurgitated these topics over and over again, and just slightly changed the wording a little bit, but still went down that road.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea how popular the show was going to become when we really started rolling?
No, not really. I think that was a byproduct that really blew me away was how many people started their week off with us, and then started to let us know just how much it meant to them to do that, to be there on Monday morning 5 a.m. to be in the chat and to get that daily dose of not just the comics and coffee, but our repertoire together, and it was just a heck of a lot of fun. I never expected that as a byproduct at all, and I was so grateful for it. It's something that I'm always going to cherish because I didn't expect it at all. It was definitely a wild ride, and it was a commitment. There were times when I was not feeling it. There were times that, the pressures of other things wanted to get in the way. That was one of the things, I'm just going to interrupt this for a second, but one of the things that was something I appreciated so much. There were times when I came in and I was just a mess. I just got done pastoring people. My emotions are all over the place. And Bueller always had a way of bringing me back to a centralized place and making me laugh. And then boom, we were on.
That was actually something I focused on, because I knew you had a lot on your plate. Let's just face it, a lot of stuff is going on. We've talked private stuff or whatever, and public stuff. But I knew that if you came, I knew whatever mood you were in when you walked in the door, you'd be different when you walked out.
For sure,
because we always had such a great time filming, and just laughter, and we enjoyed it. That's why the show was so good, because you could see Bob and myself really enjoying what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it was organic, and people watched and felt part of the conversation. And that's what was really important about the show, was including the chat, including the people. It wasn't a live show, but it had the component of the community, because the sources would be their responses to the question for the topic. So we would ask the question on a previous video on Wednesday, on the preview video, whatever the topic was, like, what's your opinion on store variants and stuff like that. And we'd resource those comments or those answers into the Coffee and Comics video to keep the conversation rolling. So people like David Posner was represented, even though it's not live, he was represented on the show. Comic Crazy was represented on the show because his comments were read along with a bunch of other people. And that's what brought everyone together. That's why people really enjoyed the show, because it was, for one, hey, is my comment going to get read? And we tried to vary it, because sometimes we'd get a couple hundred comments to go through and stuff. I do want to just really quick, there was a couple super chats in here earlier. And like I said, we're not normally doing this live. This is normally pre-recorded, so we're trying to do our best. But of course, my buddy John Spilios, the big guy, thank you so much. I appreciate that, buddy. And Michael as well. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that as well. We read a few of Michael's comments on there also. But really, I appreciate that, guys, quite a bit. And really, everybody who's watching right now, I appreciate your time. Like I said, this is a little bit different. But let's talk about the show a little bit, and about kind of the evolution of the show. And let's talk about the show, the one episode where you were the host.
Oh, gosh. I knew you were going to bring this up, man.
You son of a bitch. But just so everyone knows, okay, Bob was a freaking train wreck on that day. And just to put it in, I had it in the back of my mind, I wanted Bob to host the show one eventually, and I wanted someone to be a special guest. And we had the lovely Jen from Comics Will Break Your Heart was the guest. Yep. And she had been on the show with me once or twice before, and she did a great job. And then I had the idea, Bob, why don't you be the host? And Jen, you'll be the co-host. And Jen was all for it. She was all excited. Okay, now let me set it up for you. Okay, so Bob's going to be the host. Finally, he gets to sit in the Carson seat instead of the McMahon seat. Okay.
Yep.
For some reason, Bob brings his wife to the show. She's never come before. She's never been there with us before. But on this day, he decides to bring his wife. Okay, I don't know what that was about, But so it's me and your wife, and we're sitting there, and there you go. You're on stage with you and Jen, and I say go, and Bob shoots out like a cannon. He's going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, oh my God. I go, Bob, relax, calm down. Like I said earlier, our show normally lasts about an hour and a half, and everything was in this episode to be the same. Okay. We were done in 40 minutes.
I know we were.
So talk about that a little bit.
No, man, because you're used to hitting all those beats. I got a card I'm sitting here trying to remember because I normally have to worry about it, right? And so I'm trying to hit them, and then I think as nervous as I was, I think the highlight of that morning is something I'll never forget. Was mentioning that my wife was on set, and instead of saying Mrs. Bullseye, I said Mrs. Bueller.
Referencing your wife is my wife. I knew you had lost it then, man. I was a little nervous. You know what? We got through it, edited the video. It turned out to be like 45 minutes, something like that. It was really quick and stuff. Jennifer did a fantastic job, as she always did. And you know, but it was fun to see you in that seat and to kind of go through the motions and stuff like that, because a lot of people, like, the Coffee and Comics videos, they weren't scripted, but they were outlined.
Yeah.
There was a format to it, so there was an outline to them, to where we had certain things we would. The only thing that was written down was the comments themselves. We'd read the comments, but it was just outline. Okay, this is what we hit on this one. This is what we hit on there. There was no scripted thing to what our conversations, what we're talking about. So it was all organic, like I said before. And it was just a good time between two friends talking about comics. And I think one of the things that kind of stood out a lot was me and you are different type of collectors.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are we love comics, but you collect a different way than I collect. I collect a different way than you collect, and we clashed sometimes when it came to those points. We talk about subjects that you were totally for and I was against, or I was for and you were against. And that came up quite a bit. But the thing, when we had those conversations, we did it the right way. We didn't do it where and I'm just gonna put that out there. A lot of people have conversations nowadays on YouTube about comic books, and they do it kind of a dickish way. Okay. You know, let's just put it to you that way. They're kind of assholes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to have that conversation where we didn't agree, but we did it respectfully, and we appreciated the other person's opinion. The same thing with the comments that we would read. Even though we didn't agree with some of the comments that we read, we still wanted them represented, because the show was about the community. So we would read a comment that neither of us were like, man, I'm not on board on this, but we weren't disrespectful about it. And I think that people enjoyed that. And I think that's something that kind of is missing now in some of these YouTube shows that are out there and stuff. And I want to talk to some of the people out there. There's a way to have a conversation and be respectful to the other person, and listen to their points of view. And even though you don't agree, you can still have that conversation. And that's missing in a lot of things in this world today, not just comic books. And I think that's one of the things about our charm about our show. For one, we could have that conversation. For two, we didn't take each other too seriously, and we just enjoyed it and just had fun having that conversation. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you hit it on the head. You know, that's one of the things that's missing in the world today. Just because you have a differing opinion doesn't mean you have to not like each other. You can still have a conversation. You can still respect each other, and you can still represent, what it is that you love, or that I love. And the same thing when it came to the comments that people sent in. I think that was what was unique about our show, was that we had a format, but it was really all the comments that were sent in that drove our conversation. And so, the community was just as much a part of our show as we were. And I always appreciated that about what we did. And we didn't shy away from any type of comments. I mean, even though we even might not have agreed with them, we never shied away from it. We represented and we had a conversation about it, and we did it respectfully. We didn't shame anybody. And there's a couple times I got shamed because you were sitting next to me, but that's a water under the bridge. But really, but really, it was about representing the different thoughts that people have, and allowing that to drive our conversation. And I think we learned a lot about each other through that as well.
Yeah, and like you said, we had fun, and we had fun with each other, and there was a lot of setups in there where we would just bust each other's balls, or whatever you want to call it, but it was like a long setup, and for the payoff a little bit later. Right. But it was fun. It was just a couple guys talking about comics, enjoying each other's company, and enjoying everyone who's watching as well. Because we also streamed it, or premiered it, at 5 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, with the people in the chat. We used to be in there on Monday morning with them in the chat saying good morning, you know, how's coffee, and talking with them. And we'd have, you know, I think at the most we had a couple hundred people watching at once, maybe even more. And it was just a really good time, you know. And we were very honest with our audience, and I think that we were very honest and very emotional with our audience, because there was many times when a couple tears came to our eyes, and you know, it was two fat guys crying on camera. Who's gonna pass that up, you know?
I don't know how we got to that last episode, because we were both blubbering, bro.
We were blubbering before the episode started.
I know.
But I mean, just stuff in general, you know, some of the topics we'd hit, and there were so many wonderful comments that we received over the years that we did this. We did this over a 3-year period, and we did about 100 episodes together. As I think a total of 153 episodes, 150 episodes in the house and stuff, and then the 3 episodes in the last 2 years is basically what it's been. But one thing I want to ask you, around episode 88. I said, Bob, I want to upgrade the set. Okay, I want to redo. I want to make it a little fresh and stuff. You're like, okay. So Bob just went and did whatever he did. So we took a break, and we came back for episode 90, and I built this set, and I built this desk and everything. What was your initial thought when you walked in and you saw the elaborate thing that I built with multiple cameras, and we really took it to another level is what we did.
Absolutely. I was blown away. I mean, you know, you guys have to understand. I mean, originally, you know, when I first met Travis, you know, you know, he had this YouTube show and YouTube channel, and there were like 3 different sets. So I thought he had this huge house, like 3 different rooms that he had set up differently, you know, and so I was blown away the first time I walked in, where, you know, because he has this. It's now my house, but you know, a wall that extended from the living room to basically what would be the dining room, and then another window for that, you know, faces from the kitchen out, and that was his sets. He had 3 different, you know, cases that were set up, and he could set it up, you know, any way that he wanted to, and so that's what we used for the set. We have us sitting basically in the corner, and the shelf that's behind me, right here, that he had 2 of those, and that's where he put all the comics behind us, and you know, that worked fine. But the day that I walked in, and he kept telling me that he was going to upgrade, he was bringing a bunch of wood in. His brother, was it your brother that came and helped you build it, or was your cousin?
No, I did that all myself.
Oh, you did? Okay, maybe it was just a haul it. I don't know, but when it was all said and done, I came walking in. And it wasn't just a newly built set. I mean, he had the walls too. You guys saw it. I mean, he had the Coffee and Comics logo up on top of, you know, it was like a news set where you got 2 different stations for the newscasters, and you know, the chairs were uncomfortable as all get out. But hey, you know what? It worked.
No complaint. And so, I mean, I really wanted to go all out. I really wanted to build something that looked like an actual like desk for like a news type thing, comic book themed. And it was really important to me to kind of go all. The desk turned out to be way bigger than I anticipated. Mm-hmm. It was actually taller than I wanted it to be, so we actually had our chairs on lifts on the back of the thing. It was like a 4-inch lift. Yours was on top of a leaf for a table and stuff.
Right.
So, you know, just to make it stand, but we also,
and they were bar stools.
Yeah, they were bar stools. We also didn't want it to be short enough where you could see our guts. So it was all planned so that you couldn't see our bellies. So it just be like this part up. And I'm not lying. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It's just that part up and stuff. But everything turned out great. We had new lights. I bought new lights. I got multiple cameras going. Looked into doing some graphics and stuff like that, really ironed out doing the segments and everything. And that was episode 90. And from that point on, it just rolled, man. I mean, everything looked great. You know, the stuff was set up the right way. We had artwork on display from Doyle, and just a lot of really cool stuff kind of all fell into place right then. We were actually able to have We had Sam and Damien on, 4 of us. We did a show one time, and there was enough room to get all 4 of us in there, which was great. I said we had Jen on before. Damien was on. My friend Ryan came on a couple times. I don't know what he's doing. I haven't talked to him in a very long time. But, we had a lot of different guests that were just awesome. And we actually had the creator from Finger Guns. I'm forgetting his name, but he came on a couple times as well
Yep.
on the coffee show. So that was kind of cool. So I think those are all the people that we had on, but it was a lot of fun from day one.
I
And
think one episode we actually had all 4 of us from the Portland Comics crew, the original 4. And that was a treat. I think it was right after New Year's the one year.
Yeah, that was really great. And I was like, I remember that day because we were struggling, like, how are we going to have all 4 of it? Because we got one microphone in the middle.
Right.
And the nice microphone in the middle, and there's 2 of us on each side of the desk. And I'm like, how is this going to work? If people are going to sound it, got the height right, kind of had you and Damien, me and Sam or whatever. And I told everyone before we started, I said, okay, when you talk towards the microphone, because the microphone's in the middle. So we'd both be talking in the direction of the microphone. And whenever it was our turn to talk. And I remember Sam, whenever it was his turn to talk, you know exactly what I'm saying. He would turn to me. He would look at me and start talking to me, and I'm in the opposite direction of the microphone.
Yeah.
And you can go back and watch that video, and I sit there and I go, don't tell me, tell Damien, because Damien's on the other side. So Sam turns to the other side and talks to Damien. I said, just tell Damien from now on. He totally just turned the wrong, and you couldn't hear him. But It was such a pleasure having all 4 of us, and we had a really great time, filming that. And I just want to tell everyone, doing the Coffee and Comics video with this gentleman right here is a highlight of my life, okay? It's very special to me. The moments I shared with him before the camera rolled, after the camera rolled, and during the camera rolling were very special. And I got to make one of the best friends I've ever had. And I made a video a few weeks back about how YouTube saved my life. This is one of those examples of meeting this gentleman because of YouTube and him coming into my life and being a part of it and helping me and guiding me and being a friend and being there for me, along with others as well. Damien, Sam, Jen, John, those are all the local people and more people across the country and stuff. Derek, I've been with, met him. Logan is another one. I've had the chance to meet all these people, but really the Coffee and Comics was a staple for the community to watch. It was a place to go where everyone knew that everyone was welcome and they were going to have a good time. And we might actually convince people to get back into comics, because that was kind of what it was. We wanted it to be 2 guys having fun, talking about comics. If you've never watched comics before, or you used to do comics and you don't now, watch the show and you'll probably get sparked in it again. And it did. That Coffee and Comics show got people back in the comic books. And I was always surprised how many comments I would get. Hey, I your show popped up on YouTube. I watched it. I got back in the comic books. And you're a part of that, Bob. You got people back in the comics. And it's got to feel pretty good.
It felt really good. I can't tell you because, I also had my channel, alongside, and I would get people that would send me email, and they would also put comments on my videos that were overflow from, watching on Mondays. And I can't tell you how many people reached out and said, I'm back into comics because of you guys. Or, hey, I picked up that comic you were talking about, Kanto. And, all of a sudden, that propelled them back into reading comics again. And, that was a great feeling. I talk about, how the byproduct of, how popular the show became, was something that was unexpected. You talk about our friendship, I knew that, both Paige, both your kids are here.
I got to shout out my kids. I know there's a lot of people in the chat, and I appreciate everyone watching. But my kids are here, so I got to at least say hi to them.
But the friendship that we formed was something that is very special and dear to my heart. And talk about behind the scenes. Those chairs were uncomfortable. In the beginning, there were like every 20 minutes, I would have to say, okay, I need to stop because I needed to get up, walk around the other side, stretch, just so I could make it to the next part of the show. And after weeks of doing that, there were times when you would notice and I wouldn't have to say anything. He'd be like, it's time for a break, huh? And so we started to just know each other, which was great. As we went along, our friendship became deeper and deeper. And it's the same thing with Damien and Sam and John. We became quite a crew, and I am very grateful for all those friendships. But I miss our time, buddy. I miss our time. Getting together, over the weekend to film the show was one of the highlights of my week, and I miss it dearly.
Yeah. Between your back and me coughing every 5 minutes, which doesn't happen anymore, which is
that's funny.
So, yeah. But let's talk about the future of the Coffee and Comic Show, because a lot of people ask, hey, when are you going to do this again? When is this show coming back? And why haven't we done something like this before? And let me start with that right there. Why haven't we done something like this before? To me personally, the charm of the Coffee and Comic Show was sitting next to Bob in person, okay? And having those moments with him and filming the show and putting it all together. And I really enjoy doing that. Not that this isn't good, but it's just not the same as what it was. And I think Bob will kind of agree with what I'm saying. It was a special moment that we had together. Yeah, it was going to be a show. We're going to edit it and put it out and stuff. But you know what? There was something special, just him and I hanging out that day for a couple hours, just talking and having a good time. And that's part of it. And I don't know if doing something like this, we can recreate that. And I think it'd be kind of doing a disservice to the legacy of the Coffee and Comic Show if we did. Now, that being said, maybe doing a light version like what we're doing now, every now and then, we could pull it off. You know what? It'd be easier to do. I think obviously it looks like people are enjoying this version.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't quite be the same thing, but something similar. And I wouldn't exactly label them like the new episode or episode 153 or 154. Now, so maybe down the line we'll do this again as I'm doing my travels. Now, the second part is every now and then I do get myself back in the Portland area for a certain amount of time. And we were just talking before we started. The next time I'm in Portland, we're going to film 1 or 2 Coffee and Comics legitimate episodes, probably in the Bob Cave as it's referred to, and do a fully edited video with the topic and all that good stuff. So there will be more episodes in the future sporadically like that, but that's kind of the plan. Whenever I'm in Portland, we want to do some more for you guys because we know you guys really enjoy them. Plus, it gives us an excuse to hang out, and we can tell Bob's wife to go somewhere.
There we go, right?
Yeah, go away. And then another thing being said, for the time being, I'm traveling, and I really like what I'm doing. I really like traveling. I don't have any intention to stop traveling, for the foreseeable future for a few more years. To be honest, this was always, like I said at the very beginning, this was a 5-year plan for me to do the travel. I want to do this for about 5 years. And so if that years come up, we're already 2 years in, we're working on the 3rd year right now, halfway through or whatever you want to call it, if people still want to hear from us in person, maybe we revisit the Coffee and Comics on a weekly basis. They elaborate set. That's my living room again, wherever I settle down. And we go from there and we revisit the topics that we talked about before. Like I said, we hit every topic you can think of and then some on comic books. Things change. It's been a few years. We can revisit those topics and have a new conversation with your comments involved as well. So nothing is off the table. It's just the time constraints are a little bit different. Like I said, maybe we can do this again in a few weeks or whatever, or once a month or whatever it wants to be. And we'll go from there. Because I know one thing, and like I said before, whatever Bob's mood was when we started was not his mood when we ended, because we had a blast and
Yeah,
it was so much fun. And even waking up at a stupid 5 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, being live in the premiere chat, as much as that was like, oh my god, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I liked being there. Bob was there when he could make it. You know, obviously he has like a real job and had to go to that. But when he could make it, he was there. It was awesome. So, for one, I want to apologize to everyone that's gone. But you know what? You appreciate it when it comes back even more. And eventually, one day, it will be back in a more consistent basis. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who made the Coffee and Comics possible, for all your support. We were even nominated last year for the awards for a show that hasn't been on the air for 2 years.
What?
We were nominated. We were in the top 5. I had to call the CB Awards or whatever, I can't remember the name of it, and tell them to take our name off because we don't do that show anymore, and we haven't done it for 2 years. But we got enough votes to be in the top 5 for the category. Hell, we might have won it if I wouldn't have taken our name off it. That's how much people enjoyed the show. So it was pretty awesome. But Bob, we kind of hit on everything for the random thoughts and stuff. We'll do it. We've had some questions in the chat. We'll get those a little bit. Well, let's go ahead and get to some of the traditional Coffee and Comics type stuff. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and do our topic. And we'll hit on this for real quick because you brought this to my attention. And our topic is brought to you by Black Box Comics. Go to blackboxcomics.net, enter the code Bueller, you save 10%. They got some new books coming out. They also got Dead Detective, Empath, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Awesome. But Bob, so you sent me an article about Marvel's price point, and they're looking for a $3.99 price point. And immediately when you sent this to me, it brought me back to when we did the episodes about comic book price points and about we did some research on them. We looked up, okay, here's Image Comics, here's DC Comics, here's Marvel Comics. Let's look at these 3-month quarter period, and we'll take every comic book and every cover price. We'll do the average and stuff. And I think if I remember correctly, Image was the cheapest. Their average price was like $4.15. Marvel's was $4.60, something like that. Right. And then DC was the highest at like $4.90. Now, this was a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Obviously, things have changed. But we did an overall average of the price points and stuff just to see what it was if you got all the books. Now we see that Marvel is committing to a price point supposedly at $3.99. At least that's kind of what I took from it. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because this isn't really something that was like an announcement from Marvel. It seems like Bleeding Cool News, noticed that the price point solicitations inside of comics that are coming up, that they it's not every single one of their comics, but about probably 60% of them have this new $3.99 price point, while a bunch of them are still $4.99. And it seems random. It doesn't seem like, okay, they're taking their higher sellers and making those $3.99 and the other ones $4.99 to kind of even it out. It's completely random. So if you look at that article, there's, it'll show you the list on how it breaks out. It doesn't make sense to me if that's what they're trying to do. So it feels like a fluke. It feels like, they maybe they're trying this out, or maybe even it was a mistake, but I still have that's why when I originally posted about it, I mean, either this is something that, has been a long time in coming, or it's an early April Fool's joke, because it doesn't feel real. And so, at this particular point, I would really love to see what they're actually doing and how it breaks out as it goes along. But it's a step in the right direction if this is something that they're actually indeed doing long term going forward. That's my thought on it,
Well, I hope it is, because I think one of the downsides for comics and why they kind of get beat out by the manga world, and they've talked about that for quite a bit, it's the value for what you get. $3.99, $4.99 price tag for a 22 or 30 pages of art, compared to a manga book that's like this, and it's like $9.99. and the value is there at the manga side. So I think they got to do something to compete with that. Derek Magnus said something about when DC did their price point at $2.99, and they were going to do this $2.99 price point for their books a while back. That only lasted for 6 months. So that's the case for all this stuff. This Marvel price point, if that is the price point that they want to hit for a $3.99, unless Todd McFarlane is running the show, that price point probably won't be around for very long, to be honest. Maybe 6 months, a year, then we're seeing the disguise where the price points get jacked up. And we talked about that on that episode when we talked about price points. I was like, look at this future. It was the Future Shock. Okay. It was the Future Shock thing that DC was doing. And they halted all their regular titles. They came up with this Future Shock or State or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I think we nicknamed it Future Shock.
Yeah, we did.
And they bumped up the price for those books. And then I did some research, and I saw when they got over and we went back to the regular, most of the books went up $1. And like the Batman went up $1. The bigger titles went up $1. And I was like, this is just an excuse for them to take a break and then come back and with this new price point. And look, that's exactly what they did.
Exactly
what they did. And we were on it from the very beginning before this. And you can go see that video. It says Future State, and I crossed out State, and it says Future Shock, and it was about the price point. And I was like, dude, and it's not going to be. And they're like, oh, we're going to add more story to it and stuff like that. Well, that only lasted a little bit for that as well, but the price point stayed the same. So it was all a big old scam to get more money out of us. Of course, whatever it is. So when I see Marvel saying this, a couple things got to happen, okay? If you want to do a $3.99 price point and stick with it, great. Don't forget about the quality of the paper. And that's another conversation we had quite a bit. And you got to make your books a quality book. You can't use just flimsy-ass paper. You cannot make an Alex Ross cover where you can see the goddamn ad on the back of the cover going through the cover itself.
Yeah.
And that's just a slap in the face of Alex Ross's timeless variants. When you're sitting there, you're looking at the Punisher one, and you can see through the cover, and you can see the damn ad on the back of the cover going through the page. That's something that should never be done. Take a little bit of pride in your work, make it a quality book, and let's reference the good old Todd Father himself, who's sticking still to this date. 2 years later, we've had this conversation for many years. His price tag on the regular books are $2.99 a book. And they are a quality book. It's a thick cover. It's good artwork. It's good story. The pages are good. And it's a $2.99, not just on Spawn, because at the time it was just Spawn. Now it's on the Scorts. Now it's on King Spawn. Now it's on Gunslinger Spawn. So all the Spawn titles are still sitting at the $2.99 price point, proving that it can be done. You can do a $2.99 price at a quality book, and there's no reason you can't do it. So Marvel, if you're committing to a price point, put some quality behind the book. And I'll even say this, even if you jack up the price to $4.99, if you put out a quality product, it'll make people want to buy it. I think we referred to there was a book one time, Cocaine Nights or something like that. We had it on the channel, okay? And I can't remember the price, $3.99 or $4.99, but the book itself, just the quality of the book was so good. And I'm talking about the paper, the cover, the artwork, everything was awesome on it. I'm like, man, why can't my books look like this instead of the tissue paper toilet shit that we get from the Marvel covers at the time, And it was just kind of depressing. So it kind of made me to go away from Marvel and go away from DC. For one, I didn't like paying an extra $1, for just one piece of paper thicker than the rest. And so I started going to those independent books. I think that these publishers need to look at the independent books and kind of go, okay, let's make a quality product a little bit better. Maybe we'll get more people involved. I do hope that the Marvel price point sticks around at $3.99. It's been $3.99 for quite a while. I think when I started back in comics about 6 years ago, I think that's what the price point was for books. You think that's about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been $3.99 for a while, so I'm hoping it stays the same. But you never know. Do you really think it's an April Fool's joke?
No, I mean, I think they may be trying something out. I mean,
Yeah,
we really don't have an official word as to what is going on. I think you hit the nail on the head when it came to when it comes to independent stuff. Of course, we covered that stuff as well as a lot of these writers that go independent. They're going to care more about their stuff than they are about characters that are not theirs. That's the first issue. And then the second issue is the overhead at the big two is really high, and that right there is the reason why they have to put books out the way that they do as far as the price point, which again we proved they could go the other way. I mean, the little companies are doing it.
yeah,
But really, this is the same reason why I started to let go of becoming a Wednesday warrior and just picking and choosing certain books now. Was I went back and looked at all the comics that I bought over that 3-year period when I was reviewing comics on my channel, and truthfully, 75% of that came out of the big two, and I'm being considerate when I say that, was all trash. And it's not stuff that I really care about keeping. It's not going to do anything for me. And a bunch of it I've sold. I just gotten rid of it. And I'm not going to pay 75% of my money out for trash anymore. I mean, look how long Spider-Man at Marvel was just complete trash for the last few years. And now they've got Ultimate Spider-Man, which is really really popular right now. I love the direction that Hickman has taken that. But really, I mean, I stopped reading Spider-Man because I just didn't want to read crap anymore. So if they cared about their characters and they started these executives that are they're trying to keep their jobs, if they would try to invigorate their flagship titles so that they're putting out good content, people wouldn't mind paying the price. And I think we've covered that a numerous amount of times. You put out a good story, I don't mind paying the money for it.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and with the Marvel price point, when this takes effect, let's do some information on it. We'll do something similar to what we did before, and we'll track it for like a 3-month period, and we'll revisit this down the road and see what the average price is, in 3 months from now or whatever it was, and see if they say true. Because one thing we can do, we can go back and see what the 3 months previous was, see what the average price is, and then compare to the new 3 months and see what that average price is, and see if there actually is a difference, depending on like special issues or whatever it is. So it's something we can maintain and kind of take a look at it. But I think it's interesting. I think we'll just kind of have to let it play out and see how it goes, and kind of go from there. So, but yeah, that's our topic. We wanted to hit on a topic right away. We're just kind of a light version of stuff. Normally on our topics we have comments to read. We don't have that because it wasn't advertised or anything like that on the preview show. But that's kind of what it sounds like when me and Bob just talk about shit. Just kind of what people turn the channel. But anyway, let's go ahead and do another fan favorite. You ready for this?
What's that? Was it good?
Was it good segment brought to you by Comics on Coffee. Like I said before, go to Comics on Coffee, enter the code Bueller. You save 15% on all your coffee needs, including Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Joker, and coffee mugs, and they even have t-shirts and everything. So there you go. But you know what? Was it good? And you know what? I will start off, and I'm going to ask you, buddy. Okay?
All right.
You ready for this? Like I said before, it's a little different because we're going to open it up a little bit more broad in comparison to just comic books, because Bob likes to play video games and watch movies all the time. So that's kind of what he does. But anyway, Bob, The Last Airbender on Netflix. Bob.
Yeah, I'm here.
Was it good?
It was good. I mean, I know a lot of people have opinions about it, and I'm not going to say it was perfect, but by the time I got to the end of it, I didn't want it to end. The acting is a bit rough. There's some rough stuff going on with the CGI, but all in all, I really enjoyed it more than the movie, that had come out a few years back. And I think they have a good base with which to go forward. I mean, that series is one of my favorites. I watched it with my boys. And you know me, I love martial arts and the mystic stuff, mixed together.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. So all in all, I'd have to say for myself, it was good.
Yeah. It's okay to be wrong. I heard it was horrible.
Ah.
All right, we're gonna move on because you got some video game. Like I said, movies, TV shows, and video games. That's Bob. That's 90% right there. Here we go. Skull and Bones. Bob.
Yes.
Was it good?
It was all right. It was all right. I was just basically dabbling in it until Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, which is tomorrow. Because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. But Skull and Bones, definitely, it's okay. I'd say that I was more disappointed with it than I was, really digging it. It's for those of you that don't know, it's a pirate game, and so you go around and you're basically
like Jack Sparrow pirate,
like Jack Sparrow. Yeah, you're going through and you're firing cannons at ships and taking their stuff and plundering cities and all that.
Oh, you plunder. You plunder.
Yeah, plunder. That's what it's about. Plundering.
Yeah. You ladies on this thing? You plunder the ladies?
Yep, there's ladies in it as well.
Is it just like Grand Theft Auto but on pirate ships?
No, it should be like that, but it's not. It's kind of limited in what you can do. But
do you pay the ladies when you're done, or you just throw them overboard?
Pirate, come on.
Pirate.
But
parlay.
It's a lot of fun blowing shit up. So there you go.
Well, that's cool, man. Man, you're a huge nerd. You know that?
I know I am.
All right, we're gonna do we're gonna get back to this kind of comic book related right here. So Bob.
Yeah.
Bob. Invincible Omnibus number 2. Was it good?
It is so good. It is so good. I have been loving. I never got to read the series when it was originally out, and I kind of had abstained from it because everybody kept telling me I needed to read it, and you know me, when you tell me I have to read something, then I kind of stay away from it for a while. But
yeah, you're kind of a jerk like that.
But watching the show, I loved the show on Amazon Prime, and so. I ended up picking up all 3 of the omnibus that collects the whole collection. And I flew through the first omnibus. I'm about halfway through the second one right now, and I'm loving every minute. This is really an amazing series. Loving it. So, yeah, it is good.
Well, it's good. It makes you happy.
It does. It makes me happy.
So on a good day, you wake up, you watch a little bit of the Airbender Boy, and then you play a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean, and you finish it off with a volume of Invincible.
There you go.
And this all takes place in the bathroom.
There you go. All before I have to go to work, because now I'm back to working in the office. So
there you go. Well, that's great, man. That's your was it good? I guess you're gonna probably ask me the same thing.
I sure am. So you have a few things here that you're reading, mostly comic book related. And so the first one is Thundercats. And so Bueller, Thundercats. Was it good?
Oh, that was okay. It was okay. It was this is it right here. Of course, I got the Rob Liefeld cover. This was my favorite cover out of all of them, to be honest. And so I picked that up. I read it today. I read a couple books just for the show and stuff, and it was a little okay. Although is it Lionel, the main guy?
Lionel, yeah,
he's kind of a dick in this book. He's
really,
he's kind of an asshole and stuff, So I was like, I thought your main character is supposed to be likable and stuff. So but it was okay. I think I'll definitely get number 2. It definitely, I thought the artwork could have been better, but I said this on Scott's channel. It's kind of cartoony, but it's based after a cartoon, so I think it's kind of staying true to what that is. So I kind of give it a pass, but I thought it was okay. So not the best, but it wasn't bad by any means. So there you go, Thundercats #1.
I hear that book's doing really well. I heard the pre-sales for issue 2 were pretty up there. So a lot of popularity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this. The whole retro thing is really popping right now for the stuff we kind of grew up with is coming to light again. So I think anything you put out that was from our childhood, or whatever, I think it's going to do really well because people just kind of crave that stuff.
Absolutely. All right. So moving on to your next one, you have, I'm pretty sure this is a comic book. It's called Duke. So Bueller, was it good?
It was great.
Oh man, this is awesome.
It was so good. It was so actually, honestly, it was great. It was, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Joshua Williamson is the writer. He's a local guy there in Portland. I've talked to him many times. But just the story of Duke and stuff, and they even reference like something in here. Like, if you ever watched the cartoon, nobody ever really gets shot, although they fired 1,000,000 times the lasers. Nobody ever got shot. The robot gets shot, the vehicle gets shot, but nobody ever gets shot. They have a scene in here where Duke, basically, there's a firing squad. They all unload on him, and he barely gets nicked. It's like that's straight out of the cartoon and stuff. And I thought it was great. I'm really looking forward to exploring this universe with the Cobra Commander, the G.I. Joe, the Void Rivals, and Transformers. I think it's because it's all tied in, and I just haven't had a chance to get them and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to jumping back into that when I get to Oregon and getting some of these back issues that I missed out on. But I was really surprised. The one thing, my only criticism, I didn't think the artwork in that one was very good either. I thought it was kind of they could have done a lot better, especially for how cool these characters are. If you go back and you look at the old who put out G.I. Joe before, it was I know Image did for a while, then it was like the Devil or IDW or something, whatever, and the artwork was really good and stuff, and I was hoping to get kind of the same thing. That's not what we got. It's a little bit more, it's kind of lacking for my take. So I think the art could be quite a bit better. Yeah, it's kind of choppy. That's right. But all in all, I thought it was great. It made me, all over the place, and it's all good.
All right.
All right.
So in a sense, it was good.
Yeah. I'm satisfied.
All right. All right. So the last one here is not a comic book. This is a show, a miniseries on Netflix called Lover, Stalker, Killer. So Bueller.
Yes.
Was it good?
Holy shit, was it good? So this is a documentary, and we've talked about movies and TV shows on this show before, so we're not out of the range of what we've discussed in the past. Mm-hmm. But this is a documentary about some guy that gets a divorce. He goes on a dating website. He hooks up with this lady, hooks up with another lady, and I don't want to spoil it, but one of them turns out to be crazy, and a whole bunch of shit hits the fan, and it's all real story. It's a whole documentary on there. You saw it. And I watched it this morning, and I was like, oh, my God, that was worth my hour and 20 minutes, whatever it was, to watch it. And very interesting. So if you guys are looking for something cool to watch, I don't want to give too much of it away, okay, because it's worth seeing.
It's crazy.
Called, Lover, Stalker, Killer. Mm-hmm. And it the title tells you right away. It's about a lover, it's about a stalker, and it's about a killer. So there you go. It's in the title. And it's worth a watch. So go watch it. I don't want to give too much of it away, but I think with all documentaries, there's all sorts of stuff going on that come out of the blue, and it was definitely worth it. So yes, was it good? It was orgasmically good, and she's my daughter's watching, but it was great. It's great. So that's yeah. So anyway, Bob, it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I had a chance to see that too, and it's an absolute crazy watch. So if you're looking for something highly entertaining, definitely watch that one.
There you go. Well, everyone, that's our Was It Good segment brought to you by Comics on Coffee. And the code Bueller at their website, save 15% on all your coffee goodness. But we're moving on to our next segment, which is the one and only Final Five. And Final Five, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I will go first on the Final Five. I got my 5 books right here. And speaking of the book that we referenced earlier, the $2.99 price point, we got Gunslinger Spawn. And I love this cover. I got to meet this guy at MegaCon a couple years ago. Really nice guy. And I love these covers. I don't know if he doesn't do them anymore for Spawn, but he's on some other ones he does one for Power Rangers, and I think he does one for some DC books right now. But Gunslinger Spawn, awesome. $2.99 cover price. I got to show off this one, which is an original cover art by Tony Scott. That was a blank cover, and then Tony Scott did the artwork on this cover. This is a 1-of-1 original cover art. That looks like a cover. That doesn't look like somebody, you know what I'm saying? This looks like it was published on the cover that came out on the stand. And my buddy from Descending Climax bought this for me, and him and I went and had dinner together, and he gave it to me. It's awesome. So very cool. Love that book. I got this other one. This was sent to me by Critical Entertainment. This is Planetary Expansion. I think they have the second issue coming out very soon, but it's kind of about, well, I don't know. I didn't read it yet. So it's probably about rockets and space and expansion in planetaries, right? That sounds about right. There you go. And I got this other one, and we showed this on one of the old episodes of the Coffee Comics, but I think the cover is really cool. It's Slumber. This is issue number 5. This was a variant cover. I picked this up at Claremont Comics and Games in Wisconsin, I believe. And just an awesome looking cover. And I wanted to show it off again. And my last one is a book I picked up at a kind of a independent show when I was in Portland last time. And it's called Tiki and the Carrot.
Tiki and the Carrot, right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's mind-blowing first issue, Tiki and the Carrot. And it's autographed by the writer. Whatever you do, don't be a hero. What the hell? But there you go, Tiki and the Carrot. And I haven't read it yet. And honestly, I probably never will. But there you go. Tiki and I have all 4. I have all 4 issues. He gave them to me for like $10.
Nice.
So Tiki and the Carrot getting some screen time from a local creator in Portland. So there you go. That's my final 5.
That's a great final 5.
Comics on Coffee and stuff. Look at us just rolling through it, Bob.
I'm telling you. Well, you know how the final 5 goes. Usually it's the stuff that's closest to you that you're grabbing for it. And so this weekend I showed off some books on Fable's Instagram. You know, he's got the Throw Your Sets Up Saturday. And so I threw up a bunch of Silver Age Flash, and they were right in front of me right before the show. So I picked 5 of those. And so I got Flash number 107. That's the oldest copy I have. I'm still hunting for 106. This is the second appearance of Gorilla Grodd. Yeah, baby.
Oh, you like that guy?
I do. And then you got Flash.
That's one of your favorite guys.
It is Flash number 1.
I remember that. Because you got a thing for big hairy men.
I did get a thing for big hairy men. And look at this. Here he is right on the cover. This is issue number 127.
There you go.
And then we got issue number 138 with the Pied Piper. And then one of my favorite from his Rogues Gallery, issue number 142 with the Trickster, who of course was played by Mark Hamill in the old TV show. But there's my final 5, some Silver Age Flash.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Well, there you guys go. That's the final 5. That's the famous thing that Robbie does on his channel now, but he shows like VHS tapes. I don't know what the hell that's all about. So, but anyway, final 5. Yeah, and we used to do a segment called Robbie's Pick of the Week, and like normal, it's a Rom V title or what's the other Daniel Warren John, whatever he likes. You know?
There you go.
There you go. But let's go to our next segment, and this one is we're just gonna do a Comics and Coffee Q&A and just kind of shoot the shit for a little bit.
Sure.
before we call it good, because like we said before, this show lasts about an hour and a half, and we're actually on track to do about an hour and a half. This is we're about an hour and 15 minutes in, so let's just kind of open it up to the chat a little bit and see if there's any questions that anyone has for either me or Bob. I know there was some questions earlier in the chat. Please feel free to ask them again. Do me a favor, put a question mark afterwards so I can highlight it, because we do have quite a few people in the chat here. While people do that, I do want to say something, that I am going to be doing a new show coming up, and I'm going to show that on the screen here. And it's called Yes or No, the Spec Show. And it's a brand new show that I'm putting together, and it's going to be a twist between a speculation show and the BS show I used to do with Sam. And we're going to ruffle some feathers, but we're going to do it in a fun way. It's not meant to be serious. But, I think after being on YouTube for 6 years, I've earned the right to do a spec show and to voice my opinion on some of these other top 10 videos or top 10 picks or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to have some fun with the spec show. And I already got the script already written out. And like I said, with YouTube's new stance on profanity, and they're kind of more okay with it, so there's going to be some more swearing on that show than there's ever been. So
look at the 12 and a half inch pythons, man. You're looking spelt there, buddy.
Hey, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. But if we get a spec show and we get a book on there on the list, and if there's some bullshit, we're going to call some bullshit on that spec on that book. And we're not going to shy away, but we're going to have fun with it. So anyway, awesome. It'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. But let me see if we got some questions in here now that we kind of can Bob still wreck Robbie? I've met Robbie in person multiple times, and let me tell you this: Bob will always be able to wreck Robbie. Okay.
As I said back then, I will whip that
Yeah, I sat next to that guy on that swing, and he cried like a little girl.
That was such a great video, though.
What is this? He did much better on the slingshot this past year. But yeah, no, Bob. I know Bob in person, and I know Robbie in person, and Bob will always be able to wreck Robbie. It doesn't matter what that is. Bob, would you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I love you, Robbie. But you're just a little dude. I'm a big dude.
Just a little dude. He's even littler than you think.
I'd crush you.
Yeah. Jeff says, reaction to the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. I'm really excited for the movie. I didn't think the trailer did too much for me to get me more excited than I already was. I was hoping to see more Wolverine, because you've seen all the leaks online and then together. So I thought it would have been better to have him in the trailer as opposed to just like his shadow and then him reaching down for Deadpool. I thought they should have had him in there more, but I'm very excited for the movie itself. What about you, Bob?
Well, I kind of stayed away from watching the trailer just because as I get closer to a movie I really want to see, I kind of stop watching the trailers because I don't want the best stuff spoiled. That's usually what they do. And I'm really looking forward to this movie. So the only part that I saw was at the very beginning of the Super Bowl trailer where he's got the hair. Yeah. I just was, that cracked me up.
What's with the hair? We don't do the hair.
Right. But this is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. This one and Dune 2 are the two that I'm most looking forward to. And so I don't want any of it to be spoiled. So I haven't seen the whole trailer yet, just that very beginning. And I'm on board, man. I can't wait to see it.
So you mentioned Dune 2. So I recently just watched Dune 1. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so this is really cool. But I watched it in the desert on my screen, on my laptop in the middle of the desert at night.
Wow.
And the backdrop was the whole desert and stuff like that. So I was just sitting there watching Dune in the desert, waiting for a big sandworm to come suck me. Whatever they do. But it was kind of cool.
Usually the hallmark of a good movie for me is if I watch it over. And I think the first Dune movie is the one movie in the last few years that I've watched more than any other. So I can't wait for the second one.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. David asked me, Bueller, are those guns registered? Yes, they are, man. I've lost quite a bit of weight, and I did most of the losing the weight by diet and walking. And I've recently started over the last month started weightlifting, and so yeah, the guns are here to stay, and they're going to get even bigger. So anyway, spec show or the gun show, that's going to be both. It's going to be both. Let's see. Bueller, have you read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing from back in the day? If so, good or bad? I can say I haven't read it, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. Maybe Bob might be able to jump in on this one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite series. That whole run, and I really loved when they put it in the omnibus. And I know people didn't like the fact that they upped the colors in it, but I absolutely loved it because I think that's the way it was originally supposed to be published, and they couldn't. But I've read that story many times. I think the juxtaposition when you realize who he is still one of my favorite moments in my comic reading history. And yeah, that's a go-to. That's in the well. I'll always go back to that. That and Watchmen are my two favorite from Alan Moore. And yeah, for sure. It's seminal work.
So this is an interesting question. Toby, Comic Toby says, can you and Bob wear the same prescription glasses? So real quick, and a lot of you guys know this, my glasses on the show were fake glasses. I never started wearing glasses until last year. Or actual and the glasses I wear are just right now are just reading glasses.
What strength?
Just the 1.25. It's the first one. And I think that's 1.25 or 1.5. Is that the first one?
Yeah, that's the first one. I'm on twos now. I just graduated to twos. I have to wear them all the time now.
Now, just so reference, Bob is 20 years older than I am, so there's a difference and stuff.
Not that far, buddy.
But those glasses that I wore were fake on the show.
Were fake, yeah.
They didn't have lenses in them, and the whole reason I wore glasses at that time was because I had really bad bags under my eyes, and people would always comment on you look tired and stuff. So I just started wearing those rims, and you couldn't tell I had those bags. So that's kind of where they came up with. Yeah. And then now I got to wear them legitimately. But one of the funny things is I one time had a glass company reach out and want to sponsor the show because of the glasses that I wore on the show. And they're like, we'll send you some free glasses. I said the glasses are real. It's not going to work. But maybe if I get another email from them, I can respond differently now. So let's see here. Bueller has been on his own now for 2 years. Suddenly his dominant arm is twice the size. There you go. That's right. Steve says that's the only MC movie that he's looking forward to, which is the Daredevil, or not Daredevil, I'm sorry, Deadpool Wolverine movie.
I understand.
I felt the Flash was ruined by showing the best parts in the trailer. Yeah, they did show quite a bit on that one. Did you see the Flash movie?
Yeah, I did. It was okay.
Yeah, I liked it. I went and saw it with my son Christian. We had a good time. What was our favorite episode together? Man, it's a hard question because honestly, they kind of all blend in together, and because there were so many moments that are off screen that aren't recorded and stuff. But I can remember some of the topics that we hit that were kind of important. I really liked the time and this is one of the times we didn't agree at all. We kind of got in each other's face, and it was the CGC one about getting graded and about all that stuff. And that if any episode had a little bit of tension, let's do that. It was probably that episode and stuff. And that one I remember that one was special. I can remember instances like just like quotes like where I said like you had to make sure you had to hide it from your wife well enough or something like that. Was another time we just busted up laughing and stuff, And so it's really hard for me to pick one, to be honest. What about you, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, we had so many moments, and like you said, a lot of it ended up on the cutting room floor, unfortunately. But I think the last episode was very special because I think it was a culmination of just how much the show meant to us, and there was gravity to the fact that it was our last show, and so that was one. One of the highlights, one of that I still crack up on it was, remember at one particular point, it was there that Travis lost his tooth, and so he had this fake one that he would put up in there for the show. And there was one show where we're talking, and right in the middle of the show, it just popped right down and dropped out. And it reminded me of the module inside of District 9 when it disconnects from the ship and drops down.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard at that. It wasn't even funny, man.
We left that in the show.
Yeah, we
did.
It
was just like, we just I said, fuck it, let's just do it, and we left it in. And honestly, I've never worn the 2 cents.
That's great. You didn't need it. You didn't need it really, but it's just
because for one thing, it was the mask mandate happened, so everyone was wearing a mask. So I got used to not wearing it, because why would I put it in if I'm wearing a mask anyway? Because it's only cosmetic, and stuff. So after that, I was like, screw it. I don't care. If people don't like me because I'm missing one of my teeth, it is what it is. But yeah, I remember that, and I just like, let's just keep going. And we did, but you were just busting up laughing the whole time.
I was dying.
And honestly, that's kind of what we did on that show. We just laughed and we cried a few times, and we just enjoyed it. So I mean, like I said, everything kind of blends in together. And Scott had asked me on his show. He asked me, he goes, "Hey, are you ever gonna do a clip show and put stuff together?" I'm like, it'd be too difficult. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go through the hours and hours of footage, because there's so much really good stuff on there that people would miss a lot of stuff. So every show was unique, and every show was really good, to be honest. So, let's see what else we got here.
Great question, Biggie.
Have you all seen Madam Web, Echo, or Loki season 2 thoughts? Okay, I haven't seen any of them. I know Bob's probably saw Echo.
I did see Echo. Yep.
Did you like Echo?
I didn't. I mean, there were some good things on it, but I was really offended by the writer in completely changing Echo because they didn't like it, and it completely shit on David Mack's work. They didn't have to change the character. She was just fine. Her power set, which is the same as Taskmaster's, would have worked fine. And so I had a hard time not being offended. I love the actress. I loved seeing Daredevil in that scene. But I mean, you don't have to. They didn't have to change it, as far as I'm concerned. Loki season 2 was a masterpiece. I absolutely loved it, and I refuse to see Madam Web. That's just shit. So I'm not gonna check that out.
He refuses.
I do.
There you go. Hey, Bob, are you still practicing your coloring?
Yes, but not as much as I would like to. I've had my I really have to get into a place where I can concentrate and just push everything out. And, even though I still do stuff, to kind of, escape, that's one where I really got in a place, have to be in a place of concentration. And I don't really get that as often as I would like to. I got a couple of pieces that I've started that I'm really liking. And, but when I get the chance, I definitely get in and try to get some coloring in, because it's one of those things that I'm really passionate about. I just have to be in the right place to do it.
Nice. This next one, obviously I don't have a pull list right now. Bob, what's on your pull list?
Just a few things. I'll get Daredevil every month.
Is Daredevil on your pull list?
Yes,
Bob?
It is. Daredevil's on my pull list.
Figure that one
out. Usagi Yojimbo's on there. Right now, I'm getting the Ultimate Spider-Man, which is really good.
What about is Kanto on your pull list?
Well, that's perpetually on my pull list. When that comes out, it'll be there. I got a few of the Disney villain books. So like The Last of Hades just came out, and Cruella de Vil. I've got that one that I'm going through right now.
By Speedy Boo.
Yeah, right.
I met Sweeney Boo at MegaCon. She's like 4'1".
Is she really?
Sure. But she was great. I really liked her.
But I also get Gunslinger Spawn, and I think I get Mandalorian still, but not really too much. I just and then I kind of let it accumulate a little bit before I go in and read it.
Nice.
I think my main reading right now has been going through the Invincible Omnibus, and I'm really enjoying that. Oh, the other one that's on my pull list is Wheel of Time.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's this one? This is for Bob. Planning any more Drizzt? What does that mean?
Drizzt is a character from Dungeons and Dragons, the Forgotten Realms. He's a dark elf, and I absolutely love the character. There's I think over 30 novels dedicated to that character in the Forgotten Realms series by R.A. Salvatore. And I don't have anything planned currently, but I am starting to read the books that came out and during the years that I wasn't able to get in there and read. So I'm behind like about 9 of those novels. And so I'm starting to, I got a few things to read before I get into those. And once I start doing that, I plan on doing maybe updates on where I'm at with the reading and how I'm feeling about it. But that's when I start doing content again. And hopefully that will be sooner than later. And this is coming from OUG, and I know who she's talking about. Give my love to Bizarro Fett, because I know he's a huge Drizzt fan too. And I love that brother. So thank you.
Okay, keep your Drizzt to yourself. I don't want to know that. Have either of us read The Madness or Blood Commandment? No, I don't think either of us have, to be honest.
No.
But I guess it sounds pretty good. How is the bus running? The bus is running fine. I had a big repair on the bus before I left on this. Well, I take that back. I repaired the bus before I was going to leave, but then my father's health kind of took a turn, so I stayed in Oregon for a little bit longer. But right before that, I got the bus repaired, and it's been fine ever since. It was a nice bill, it was like $3,500 and stuff, but the bus is doing just fine. Knock on wood, by the way. Jesus, no, but you probably just freaking jinxed me right there. Let's see. Not a question, but thank you for the help keeping me alive during some of the hardest times of my life. TMX Comics, you know what, man? That's what it was all about. We wanted to be there for the people in the community, and you guys being there was doing the same thing for us. It was making us, feel good and stuff like that. So it was going both ways. I want you to know that, and I've gotten comments like that before, and it goes both ways. It's just not one way. I don't want to understate that, because it means something to read something like this and to know that, myself and Bob, we actually were able to, bring joy in the people's lives a little bit. And that's what it meant the world to us. And that's actually what kept us going for quite some time.
Fully agreed.
Let's see. I'm going down here. Let's stick Travis in the CGC case to preserve him.
Grade that dude.
Travis, are you planning on coming into any cons in northern Michigan? I'll put it to you this way: eventually. Here's the thing. My schedule all along for year 3 was to go to Canada and to go up through Washington State, go across Canada, and then to come down through New York and spend quite a time going through Canada and doing the travels. Everything kind of took a back seat to where my daughter said that she's expecting, because I'm going to be a grandpa this year, and I really want to be around for what's going on there, the baby shower and the birth of my grandchild, my grandson. It's a boy, and I'm very excited to be a grandpa. This is my first opportunity to be a grandpa. At least I'm aware of it. There's some randoms out there probably, but you know what? This is my first. I'm going to be a grandpa, so my schedule is different than what it was at the beginning of the year, and I don't know exactly where I'm going to be. All I know is I'm going to be more around like Albuquerque and Colorado and Texas and Arizona, that part of the country, because I want to be around for the newest member of the Bueller family. So it's going to be kind of cool. I'm excited.
Congratulations, Paige.
What episode is the Flying Tooth? I don't know. I wish I knew. It would take a lot of research. I don't even remember. I think it was early on in the episode when it happened.
Yeah, and it was very subtle. We didn't really break when it happened, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and it was definitely during the new set. It was after the new set, so it was episode 90 on up. From there, I
yeah.
don't know. I bet you can just go through and watch in the episode where I don't have a tooth in. It was the one before that. How many times did you have to rescue Travis from bikers at a motel? Never. But
I've
that
been waiting
doesn't
for the
mean,
call though.
but yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. How did you like Wheel of Time on Prime? When it was on
I had a very hard time with it.
Yeah, didn't you get all fussy about that and complain and make a video about it? It was obnoxious.
Because they changed way too many things, and I mean when you get to the end of it, I mean it's loosely based on the books, and it just didn't sit right with me. So I don't know if I'll.
It's not Bob's Wheel of Time. It's not Bob's Echo.
It's not. And I get it. You know, there are some people out there who may absolutely love it, and more power to you. But it's just not my Wheel of Time. I was expecting to see something much more epic, and it just feels like a TV series that they loosely based the series on. So it's just not for me, unfortunately.
Bob, do you like the new Daredevil series? Just yes or no will do good for Derek.
Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on it. There's times when I really like it, and times when I'm just like, I really miss Zdarsky and Chichetto. I'll just say that.
Bob and Travis are the man. So together we make the ultimate man.
We are the man when we're together.
There you go. I'm just kind of go-to favorite coffee.
Mocha Express. 90? Yeah. YouTube is 90.
Yeah, Mocha Express will always be my favorite coffee.
Yeah, for me, I love iced coffee with sugar-free vanilla sweetener, and especially when it's been brewed with some cinnamon in it. That's kind of like my go-to.
Oh, look at this! Speaking of babies, Katie and I are having a baby this summer. Any comic book dad words of wisdom? Well, you know what? Just here's the thing. I said this to my daughter, and I said this to my her partner. I said, being a parent, you should have fun. Just enjoy it. Don't take it too seriously. Enjoy the moments, and you get to play now. You get the opportunity to play without being weird. Okay, if you don't have a kid and you're hanging out at the park, you're kind of weird. But now that you'll have a kid, you can go to the park and you're just another parent hanging out with their kid. So enjoy it and let your kid make mistakes and let them learn from it. Don't hold them to a unreasonable standard, man. Just enjoy being a parent. That's the best advice I can give you.
I think the best piece of advice I could give you is, and I just talked to somebody about this who just had a baby. In the very beginning, you're going to feel like you don't know what you're doing, and I want to tell you, you're doing just fine. It'll all work out, and you'll be in the place where you understand each other very, very, very quickly. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, and clear out a closet and have a closet, and if the kid gets out of sorts, just put the kid in the closet. Just shut the door.
Yeah, and just remember that as the kid gets older and you start needing more room in the house, your comic books are usually the first to go.
Yeah, it sucks. Larry says, Mr. Bueller, did you ever get a copy of Cobra Commander #1? No, I have not. I'm missing quite a few from the Energon universe, whatever it is. So I got to get caught up. So when I get back to Portland, I'm going to make a list of what I need to get and go to my LCS that actually is a nice place to go to. And they give you a discount. And yeah, because the other one I boycott. Because he got mad at one of the Copy of Comics episodes. Let's see here. I'm just kind of scrolling down. I think I might have got caught up right now. And look at that. We're you know what? we're all the way caught up to the bottom. I want to thank you everyone for the questions and stuff, but we are going to wrap things up. And you know what, Bob, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you again, and just kind of just kind of hanging out like we used to, and enjoying each other's company and having some laughs and talking with the people in the chat. Because like I said before, we premiered the Coffee and Comics, so we did get to talk to people in the chat in real time. So it was kind of nice. And do you have anything left to say before we take off, or you want to tell the audience anything, or what's up, man?
I agree with you. It's I had a great time just hanging out with you, as I always do. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey, because through that I was able to make connections with a lot of the great people that we have here in the chat and the comics community, and it's a part of my life that I'll never forget. And our friendship is something I'll always cherish. But the time that we had on the show is definitely one of the highlights of my life, and I'll never forget it. And I just want to thank you for it, man.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more, man. It was definitely a highlight. I loved having you on. I love knowing that you were coming over there and just get to hang out, and we just got caught up on those days and stuff, and the special guests as well. But really, the bond that you and I had doing that show is what made it so special. And that's why I said before, it can't be duplicated by anyone else. Other people have tried making shows similar to the show, and they're not going to pull it off. You just can't. There's no better co-host than Bob. And Bob, you want to do the second half of that?
Yeah, there's no better host than this dude right here.
So there you go.
There you go.
It really was an awesome time that we had filming this. You saw the joy that we had every time we did. I want to thank Bob for doing all the editing on the shows. He did an awesome job.
I just showed up. Just
show up, damn it, Bob! Just show up. But it was a blast. It was worth it. So I want to say thank you, everyone who watched. Thank you so much for the super chats we got earlier in the show. And like I said, maybe we revisit this, every now and then. It'd be nice to just get caught up and just hang out with the people in the chat. And we're probably not going to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll do it at night like we just did this time.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what, Bob? That's all I got. And I don't know if you remember, but you were the one who signed up.
Crap! How did it go? Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Live your best life, everybody. Bye.
I remembered.
You did.